So Professor Vishwanathan, the Northern District Court in California held in Bartz versus Anthropic that the use of copyrighted works for AI training constitutes fair use. You just voiced your skepticism about thinking that it is training. But according to the court, Anthropic is permitted to purchase a copy of a book and then use that work to train the model on language, writing, and story. Do you agree with the court's conclusion? Is that the right analysis?
That's not constitutional. That's a leading question.
Yeah.
I think that courts are struggling, and they're struggling for the same reason we are. The court said, to be accurate, that it was transformative, but it's still a question about fair use. Y'all, for those of you who are not copyright people, I'm sorry for you, but there's still time, and I will help you through this, right? So you say, I say to you, you infringed. And you say, well, you're right, I did, but I did it for good reason. It's an affirmative defense, and it has 4 prongs to it. The biggest ones are, did you do something really important, transformative? Did you change it in some meaningful way that makes it important that we preserve that? And the 4th factor is, does it affect the market? And I want to point this out, actual or potential market, right? For the work, for the original work. The courts are confused and they're concerned because they see the effect on potential markets. At least the Bartz court does, right? What's the potential market? You could license that work otherwise.
All right, so are there licensing regimes in copyright law that can serve as a model?
Absolutely there are. There are licensing regimes that exist right now. You just asked someone a couple moments ago, how are movies made? They license and cross-license all the time. That's how movies get made. When you embed a piece of song into a movie, you license it, you cross-license it. So there are regimes that exist, and fair use is not an open and shut case. There's over 100 cases that are pending right now.
All right, so let me just ask you, are we going to be able to get to the solution within the existing contours of copyright law, or do we need to legislate to address the brave new world we're in?
It's hard because we're at a moment right now where we want to go with a light hand because we don't want to hamper innovation. We'd like to encourage licensing regimes. The thing I'm concerned about, Mr. Raskin, is the small creator who can't go up against the big tech company and say, help me here. There are also, by the way, schemes to help pay small creators. We have BMI and ASCAP standing as examples of collective rights organizations that clear rights for people so that they can get their royalties. So what exists right now? There's a lot that exists right now that we need to tap into.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Aston, I know that digital replicas are a big issue for SAG-AFTRA. You negotiated hundreds of pages of a 4-year deal with the Motion Picture Association that would prevent studios from creating fake actors, as I understand it, absent some compelling reason for doing so, or replicating real ones. And that seems to be more categorical. You can't do that. To get out of using living, breathing individuals on screen. Could you explain why collective bargaining agreements with provisions like those are necessary, and then answer whether they're sufficient to protect creators from individuals using AI to replicate name, image, likeness, voice, intonation, and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're absolutely necessary because the relationship between workers and their bosses is often fraught with being taken advantage of. And so we're very grateful that the companies in the previous cycle when we had our big strike, but in this cycle, were willing to work with us to try and figure out how to manage the fairness when it comes to digital replication and what you were talking about with synthetics. And when it comes to digital replication, we're able in bargaining to achieve an understanding about how much we should be compensated.
Is that sufficient in your field? Does it cover all of the people in the workforce?
Well, our collective bargaining agreement is our labor. So no, I mean each different union, the writers, the directors, the IATSE, everybody has to make their own deals.
But is everybody represented such that they could come up with a similar agreement?
Everybody has to try to accomplish what we did first, which is to get meaningful artificial intelligence protections language in our bargaining, and we're respected. The SAG-AFTRA and our policy writer, our contract negotiating team is really been in the vanguard in this. But to me, for this moment, the important thing is it's only good for contracts that we are working with, people who are signatory to our union. This No Fakes Act and the digital replication we're talking about exists everywhere else. And that's where nobody other than this body can offer the protections that we require, which is why we really appreciate you all working so hard on the piracy, but on this No Fakes Act.
One of the biggest questions facing Congress today isn't just whether artificial intelligence is changing the world. It's whether our laws are changing fast enough to keep up. That was the heart of Representative Jamie Raskin's questioning during this hearing, and it's a conversation that reaches far beyond Washington. It affects every author, musician, journalist, filmmaker, software developer, illustrator, voice actor, and everyday creator whose work can now be analyzed, copied, or imitated by powerful AI systems. What made this exchange particularly interesting is that it wasn't simply about whether AI is good or bad. Instead, it focused on something much more complicated: how do we balance innovation with fairness?